Welcome to Seculo. Yes, it's an exciting time. I'm Logan Seculo. Will Haynes is joining me in studio. Rick Grenell is going to be joining us, a former director of national intelligence. And now we can say, sadly and excitedly, in a good way, our former colleague, Tulsi Gabbard, has now been confirmed as the director of national intelligence. And I wanted to say thank you to everyone who signed that petition, who got behind Tulsi. As you know, she has been our friend, our colleague, our broadcast partner here for the last number of years. And we really are pushing hard because we knew this is very important for the country, and we believe that she's going to do a great job as the director of national intelligence. And hopefully, down the road, you'll hear from her again on this broadcast, maybe sometime. But know that we are in touch with her, and it's just been, and we're making sure that she knows that you had all that support from you at the ACLJ, all of you supporters, all of you donors, all the ones that signed on to those petitions. This is an exciting time because it seems as if even the ones that maybe were quote unquote controversial are making their way through. Well, there was no real surprises on the votes. It seemed like the Republicans that were going to vote no did vote no. No one really flipped, but it's smooth. It was pretty smooth sailing other than a few minutes of kind of semi-filibustering.
That's right. The Democrats did try to prolong it as long as they could. They, when they were trying to do a quorum call, they tried to get some extra time in there. But they eventually moved on to the vote. The final tally, 52-48, losing only one Republican. Take a wild guess who that is. The former Senate Majority Leader, Mitch McConnell, voted no. He put out a lengthy statement as to why, that is saying that, the Senate's power of advice and consent is not an option. It's an obligation, and one we cannot pretend to misunderstand. I would love to go back through Senator McConnell's yes votes on some of the worst deep state actors that got elected to nominations.
Where did he put that statement out?
So Chad Pergram from Fox News has the statement. I assume it's probably on his website, but quickest way to get it was from Chad Pergram over at Fox News.
Okay, just curious.
But putting out a statement on why he opposed her and saying that when a nominee's record proves them unworthy of the highest public trust and when their command of relevant policy falls short of the requirements of their office, the Senate should withhold consent.
Fun from Mitch McConnell. I have to say, again, as we head to the first break here, I want to hear from you. How do you feel now that really your friend, our friend, Tulsi Gabbard is now Director of National Intelligence? We also are going to be joined by Rick Grenell a little bit later in the broadcast, going to be talking about also that wrongly detained teacher in Russia. And then after 3.5 years of being imprisoned in Russia, you have a Trump presidency. Within a few weeks, he is released. I want to hear your thoughts as well. Again, we couldn't put together such an amazing team without your support. And though she has now gone on to become the Director of National Intelligence, she was part of our broadcast team for many years. So you got to hear firsthand from some of the leaders and the future leaders in Washington, D.C. I'd love for you to give us a call. What do you think? But support the work of the ACLJ still. We've got aclj.org. Donate now. Do it right now.
Welcome to the all-new ACLJ app. Expert analysis and insight big tech can't censor. Customize your news and get real-time alerts on the issues you care about. Advocacy is now at your fingertips. Take action, make a difference. Support the causes you care about with just one tap. Everything you need, all in one place. Be the first to know. Breaking news alerts sent straight to your inbox. Stay informed, stay empowered. Download today.
We are so excited to announce the ACLJ's brand new app, completely redesigned to provide you with the best tools available to partner with us at the ACLJ. You can watch the daily Seculo program, sign the petitions, customize your ACLJ membership experience, donate with the click of a button, and receive up-to-the-minute critical updates that the mainstream media can't censor. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to your phone's app store, search ACLJ, and click install. It's that simple. Tulsi Gabbard, our friend, colleague, and now former colleague, I guess, former member of this broadcast team. And yes, I know that that's sad for a lot of you, sad for us, but it's great for the country because now you have Tulsi Gabbard as Director of National Intelligence. It's pretty wild. And we're congratulating her and saying thank you. We'll make sure she knows she had the prayers and the support of you, the ACLJ donors, the ACLJ champions, and the viewers and listeners of Seculo. We really appreciate all that you've done and continue to do. And hey, you got any suggestions of who should replace Tulsi Gabbard on this broadcast team? if they're not currently serving in an active role that we can't get them in. Let me know. Put it in the comments. Who do you think should join us? I'd love to hear that. We're always putting together new people to be on this broadcast team, and as you've seen, we've had some changeovers over the last few months, so this gives us an opportunity. There's a lot of you that called in as well, but I do want to say right before, this is Chuck Schumer, just minutes before the vote began, he decided to get up on his high horse and make a statement. This is bite 3.
I think most senators would agree there are better choices to lead national intelligence. You know what my guess is? If we had a secret ballot, Gabbard might get 10 votes and 40 against her from the other side. People know. That's why they raise so many questions.
And 25 minutes later or so, she was confirmed, or maybe 35 minutes later, as Director of National Intelligence.
That's right. And what Chuck Schumer seems to forget there is that it's advice and consent, not nomination by the Senate. So just because a senator thinks they may know someone who they would like better in that role, that isn't their job. Their job is to give advice and then consent if they go through the hearing process. And unless it is something egregiously disqualifying, and typically the nominee withdraws their name before it even gets that far, they should move forward. That's even why the statement from Senator McConnell rings so hollow when you think about he is one of those rubber stamp type senators when it comes to approving nominations. Now, he did hold off and not move Merrick Garland through as Supreme Court Justice at the end of Obama's term. That's probably the one good thing that I can point to immediately that he did on nominations. But he is of that old guard that was very traditionally just rubber stamping nominees through. And he all of a sudden decides that he doesn't like Tulsi Gabbard and decides to be the lone Republican no vote. Fortunately, it wasn't necessary. All of the ones that we were concerned about through the process decided that through the process of advice and consent, of having the meetings with the nominee, having the hearings, follow-up questions, the background checks, all of this, that even if they had early concerns or disagreed on some policy, that at the end of the day, they shared a vision with Tulsi Gabbard on how to lead the department and the office of the Director of National Intelligence. It's a great day for America. It's a great day for the viewers of this broadcast, the members of the ACLJ, because in what world did you think, Logan, or myself even, that a colleague on the broadcast or someone that our audience has gotten to know very well, even though she was a national name within the conservative movement, our audience really got to start to know her very early on compared to everyone else. So you have seen and heard from her. You've been almost conducting hearings on her worthiness for years now by hearing what she has to say. And it's just a remarkable moment. And it also shows that the Democrats, especially in the Senate, are so freaking out about what's going to happen next because they can't contain themselves, that Chuck Schumer is having to get up there and say, I bet only 10 people would actually vote for her if it was a secret ballot. Fortunately, it's not how it works. It's a roll call vote. And I don't believe him at all on that as well. That is just hyperbole and him trying to make a last-ditch effort of getting her not confirmed. It didn't work. He failed. The left failed. All of the smear campaign that she's a puppet and a Russian agent failed. 52-48. Tulsi Gabbard is your next Director of National Intelligence.
We have a comment coming in, a question on line 6. I want to go ahead and take this call. Jerry in Rhode Island. Jerry, I think you have a statement that a lot of our longtime listeners and longtime viewers will agree with.
Yeah. Hello, team. And anybody's been listening to this show for 10 years, there's a short list of people in office, remarkably, that anything they say we don't listen to. Schumer and Schiff are two of those names.
I think that's probably right. Maybe you won't have to hear from them for all that long, but they're still going to be around, I'm sure, whether it's in the press. We know that Adam Schiff has greater plans. But you know that if it's coming out of the mouth of one of those two, then unfortunately we just don't really take it with any validity.
And I think because there's so much vested interest with the Democrats in the deep state, that's why Tulsi Gabbard and Kash Patel have scared them as far as their nominations. And now the Democrats they knew they had lost on the Tulsi battle last night. So they started to push out new smear campaigns against Kash Patel. Senator Durbin is trying to accuse him of perjury within his hearing, saying that he's actually been coordinating the FBI the entire time, even though he's not confirmed yet. So strong words coming out of the Democrats, trying to derail him at the last minute.
Yeah, and a lot of you are calling in. We're going to get to as many of those as we can. If you have questions or comments about Tulsi being confirmed, or later on in the broadcast, we're going to have Rick Grenell. Rick was involved with that detained American teacher, Mark Vogel, who, again, was just released after 3.5 years. Mark Vogel from Russia. And of course, there's also a confirmation right now that President Trump did have a conversation with Russian President Putin. We know that this was not something that President Biden would do. He would never get on the phone with President Putin. And you could agree or disagree with that, but I think what we're seeing now is a lot of changes happening, and that doesn't happen unless you're willing to talk to people, get on the phone, negotiate. This is how things actually get done. None of this political grandstanding where you just say, well, they're the bad guys, so we can't talk to them. That's not how it works on the world stage, and we saw 4 years of failure with that. Now we've seen a month of what people are calling, what they call constitutional chaos.
Yeah, constitutional crises, which are...
I saw even Patricia Heaton, after our broadcast, started tweeting and posting, well, I don't say tweet, you say tweet, posting on X, look out for the words constitutional crisis, because all of a sudden, as of the last 2 days, it has become the weird of 2025.
Well, and as someone that studies the media, follows it very closely, the trends and the like, the art of crafting a narrative that the left loves to do, the deluge of information has been coming at them so quickly, they haven't had time to craft a narrative. We talked about that last week on the show. So now they're having to resort to very broad, 30,000-foot view catch-all terms that they're trying to get to land. And constitutional crisis is the one. You saw Caitlin Collins bring it up. We played that earlier in the week on CNN. Now they're all running with it. So they think maybe they've got the narrative now, and they're going to make you think that America is in chaos and the Constitution is about to crumble. It's false. It's misinformation.
That's right. Hey, we'll be back in just a moment. We're going to take as many calls as we can coming up because so many of you have called in. I want to open up some lines so more of you can call in. Again, we are celebrating right now as Tulsi Gabbard has been confirmed as Director of National Intelligence as of, 25 minutes ago. Our former colleague, Tulsi Gabbard, someone who's been a member of this team for a few years, and we are so thrilled. So congratulations, Tulsi. We'll be right back.
Welcome to the all-new ACLJ app. Expert analysis and insight big tech can't censor. Customize your news and get real-time alerts on the issues you care about. Advocacy is now at your fingertips. Take action, make a difference. Support the causes you care about with just one tap. Everything you need, all in one place. Be the first to know. Breaking news alerts sent straight to your inbox. Stay informed, stay empowered. Download today.
We are so excited to announce the ACLJ's brand new app, completely redesigned to provide you with the best tools available to partner with us at the ACLJ. You can watch the daily Seculo program, sign the petitions, customize your ACLJ membership experience, donate with the click of a button, and receive up-to-the-minute critical updates that the mainstream media can't censor. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to your phone's app store, search ACLJ, and click install. It's that simple. Welcome back to Seculo. Phone lines are completely jammed right now, but they'll open up, so keep calling. Rick Grenell's joining us. Rick, again, I'm going to keep saying the hardest working man in Washington, D.C. and around the world, whether we're talking to you about getting people onto planes to Venezuela, whether we are talking to you about the Kennedy Center. And then last night, another big moment happened, a late night event, as President Trump met with Mark Vogel, the wrongfully detained prisoner in Russia, school teacher. And Rick, I just want to get your thoughts and give us a little breakdown of what happened here, because this was another big moment, 3.5 years delayed.
Yeah, look, it was a really big moment. And I think really the benefit of what we're watching here is how talking and representing America really works. Remember, Joe Biden and Vladimir Putin didn't speak for 3.5 years. Imagine what could have been done if they were actually speaking.
Right.
You can avoid wars when you speak. You can avoid hundreds of billions of dollars in taxpayer money going to a war. You can bring people home. There are a variety of things that can be done when you actually push forward and talk. Talking is a tactic. President Trump is a great negotiator, and I think what's real is we have a amazing moment here where countries understand that Donald Trump means business. They're offering up ideas to increase the relationship. I'm watching this in real time. I was with the president yesterday in the Oval Office. He was telling me about the strategy of what's happening going forward. It's just really amazing how focused he is. Going back to the White House here in a couple of minutes to be with the president again. And I think what we see now is his ability to negotiate is going to end this war. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, it feels that way, Rick. Absolutely. I was watching that, I guess you'd say, kind of press conference that happened in the Oval Office last night as they were meeting, and it was really wild to see it because, like you said, all you have to do sometimes is open up this line of communication. I mean, that's not all. You have to have someone who can really respond and know what they're doing. But this happens so quickly when during this Trump presidency, we didn't even know. I think a lot of people didn't even know that these people are detained, whether that was you going down and getting the 6 out of Venezuela, whether that's this happening in Russia, because if it's not our number one news story, we don't know it's going on. And of course, we saw it with Pastor Brunson that we were highly involved in during the first Trump presidency. A lot of ways that we connected with you, Rick, and spent a lot of time with you working on these kind of matters. And now you're seeing it get, like you said, they know they have business to deal with President Trump. And the idea of doing a political stunt, if you will, and that's really, to me, what 3.5 years of no communication during a time of war from President Biden, that's all that was. That was just trying to feed a talking point that we don't talk to bad people. And the thought process that you can't get things done. I put bad people, that was sort of the narrative of we can't talk to them because they're doing things we disagree with. It's like, well, that's not how it works on the global stage.
No, it's not. And what I can tell you when it comes to diplomacy is that I've said this before. I think it's worth repeating every single day is that there's a difference between a threat and a credible threat. Countries know that Donald Trump just may do something. They know that he's focused. They know he's working. And so what is amazing is, as we're speaking, the White House is announcing 3 more Americans released, detained Americans from Belarus. And so what's happening, I think, now are countries are realizing they can't mess around with the United States because Donald Trump is president.
And Rick, now we know as well that, President Trump put out a truth post about a phone call with Vladimir Putin. And it goes back to even what you've said many times on this broadcast, that diplomacy is a tool and a tactic that must be used. And also with that credible threat as well, that they have to take you seriously, something that clearly world leaders didn't do during the last 4 years. But whether it's bringing Americans home or trying to advance towards peace, it totally destroys the left's narrative about President Trump. So they're going to have to come up with something now that, oh, look, that we have the constitutional crisis at hand, and he's calling his buddy Putin. So clearly, what are they actually talking about? They're going to come up with some smear or some lie. But in reality, we see what leadership is, and it is such a stark contrast when the executive of the United States, the president, for 4 years was showing zero leadership skills, not able to do full cabinet meetings, not able to pick up the phone and have conversations with these world leaders. And now we're seeing transparency, diplomacy, action, and the fact that detained Americans are coming home. I think there's really no way that they can actually spin this to be a negative, because who is against these things?
Yeah, it's so true, Will. It's common sense, right? We all know that it's common sense. And what we're asking for is for politicians, people who represent us, to have common sense, not Washington sense, but common sense. And that means picking up the phone and talking to people. It means saying that we don't want waste, fraud, and abuse in our tax dollars. It means saying to countries, wait a minute, you're holding an American against their will as a hostage, return them or face consequences. These are just really practical things. And I grant you that Washington, D.C. and the left is melting down because they like to control the process. They want it slow so a lot of lobbyists and lawyers can be involved and get paid. But the reality is that we are the Trump team. We are here to bring common sense and cut through the bureaucracies and work for the American people.
Rick, there's obviously a lot of movement also on Capitol Hill right now, as we saw. It's moving towards having a legit cabinet ready to go for President Trump. I think there was a lot of talk of pushback, and what we've seen is, of course, there have been the Democrats trying to get in the way, but I think even the ones that were quote-unquote controversial, we're seeing that, I think because of a lot of the action that President Trump has taken, because of the movements we're seeing a lot more, maybe you'd say the Republicans that are more in the middle, saying, no, we like what's happening, we're moving forward, and we have a good time. 4 years ago, if you could have thought that Tulsi Gabbard and RFK Jr. would be in the cabinet for President Trump's second presidency, I don't think any of us really predicted it, that you'd have such a massive move, even from two former Democrats at this point, moving towards being part of this administration. Really shows where things have moved.
Yeah, look, congratulations to our colleague Tulsi. She's going to be amazing, Director of National Intelligence. I think the more people that just sat with her, again, people that were willing to talk, not just read the newspaper, but when you talk to Tulsi, you realize she's an amazing, thoughtful, smart person who cares about the United States. And so when you move beyond the filter of the media and you get to know someone or you listen to their points, I think everything changes. The control that the media want, the control that the bureaucracies want, the control that Washington, D.C. types want is to limit the information and accessibility to the actual people. They want to be the filter. The more they're the filter, then they can dupe the American people. We have a system right now where we're going straight to the American people.
Rick, thanks for joining us today. I really appreciate it. I know you've got a busy schedule, and we'll follow along on social media to see, where in the world is Rick Grenell next. It's always an adventure for you, and we are obviously thrilled to still have you here on Seculo each and every week. We appreciate it, Rick. Thank you so much. Let's go ahead and take some phone calls. Let's go to Robert, who's calling from Maryland on line 1. Robert, welcome.
Yeah, I wanted to ask the question, do you believe that President Trump's nominees are getting speedy consideration, his cabinet members, for being put in the cabinet positions by the U.S. Senate, or are they being deliberately delayed?
Robert, it is part of the game, I feel like, in some ways. I don't feel like it's been egregiously delayed. There's been a few that have been pushed a few weeks. Kash Patel's probably the one right now that felt like this should have been a done deal a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, right. And then we saw that one get delayed. I think there was thoughts within Democrats and with some of the moderate Republicans, let's put it that way nicely, that you would have more pushback on Tulsi, more pushback on RFK Jr. and some of these other appointments, even a Pam Bondi. Really, the only one that they were sure of, it felt like, was Rubio. Obviously, Pete Hegseth, I think they thought they would have much more of a pushback. So I think once Pete got through, and now once Tulsi is through, I feel like it's a snowball effect.
Well, and to your point, Robert, yes, I believe they are using as many procedural tricks as they can to delay as long as possible. Remember, when they're not getting these people confirmed, it's also delaying other business of the Senate and other business of the administration. So they are trying to slow roll the agenda of President Trump as much as they can. But I think two things are happening here. And one, there is a graph that shows President Obama in his first term had twice as many people confirmed at this point than President Trump does now. There's a lot of those type of things you can see. But two things are happening. One, the Democrats are in such disarray as a party. They had an internal meeting that things were leaked out of, that the party itself is split right now. equally angry at the outside liberal groups. One side thinks they are putting too much pressure on us and won't let us reform and figure out what's going on. And another side of the party that thinks they're not putting enough pressure on. But even the Democrat congressmen and women and senators were having their phones flooded by people on the left telling them to oppose Trump's agenda, something they are going to do already, but it was hampering them from getting other work done. They were having to field so much incoming, and that was funded by groups like MoveOn.org, which are far left, and on their team were pressuring their own members of Congress that they like. But then, too, because of the fact that President Trump is still getting so much done without all these people confirmed, I think some of the Democrat senators may think maybe we do need more of these nominees in to almost have a check on the president. Yeah. Because if they're not in, he is the executive and is going to continue to do what he wants. But almost like, wait a second, maybe we do need the cabinet member in there that's working with the department instead of it just being President Trump. So I think it has backfired a little bit on them there. They weren't expecting to have basically, a geyser of things happening all around them at all times that they're trying to figure out. And that's what does seem to be happening.
Yeah, but again, this is just work. The work is getting done. And it's exciting. I'll be honest. I'm excited as an American. I know that there are people on the other side who feel like this is chaos. Like I said, you're used to the DMV. No offense to you DMV workers, but we all know what that means. We're used to the DMV version of the federal government. We are not used to this kind of strength and this kind of active momentum.
Well, and to your point, the Department of Government Efficiency, the key word there is efficiency. What they're trying to do is make the government work better for the American people. And what the left is calling chaos is just that they're not used to the swamp creatures in Washington getting things done. Yeah. They're used to them not doing anything and the president not going out and talking and not doing action. And to them, they're saying this is chaotic because they're actually having to work hard once again.
I think that's really interesting. Yesterday, Elon Musk was in the Oval Office with his son answering questions from the press. You're right in the fact that I feel like this is the kind of access the press has always wanted, to be able to talk to the people who are actually running the show, not just a press secretary. No offense, press secretaries, they do a great job. They have a very important position. But we saw when there was the first chaos with the plane crash that happened, you saw all of a sudden everyone started showing up. You heard from Director of Transportation, you heard from the Vice President, the President, everyone.
Pete Hegseth,
everyone was there. On the ground working. You saw the head of Doge, Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, hanging out in the Oval Office taking press questions. This is not normal, but that doesn't mean it's wrong.